Hi and welcome to our expert talk this week with Michelle Scott Wilson talking about digital marketing. We're really excited about this because Michelle has an extensive experience not only with kind of the business to entrepreneur or educational space, but also in the business to business space, like the corporate space. So she's a whiz when it comes to this stuff. She has been on a podcast. She has her own podcast and does some really cool things. So before I bring her on, and whilst we were waiting also for a couple of people, let me quickly tell you a little bit about her, which she has given to me. So Michelle, her family background is in the media sector, and she has been founding the New Zealand Herald in 1863. Her family is in that sector, right? I'm still a bit like, I just recorded a whole bunch of videos, so I need to get in the flow here a little bit. The largest daily newspaper published in Auckland, New Zealand, with circulation peaking over 200,000 copies per day. So she has a bit of an extensive experience in media over there, which explains why she got into what she is doing today. Michelle has been working in the online space since 2014. She has worked with tens of thousands of people worldwide and helped many of them to create successful businesses online through digital marketing. Previously, she traveled the world running retreats and wellness programs online and off, and spoke on stage to thousands of people, inspiring them to create a profitable business and life that they love. Unicorn Empire Media is dedicated to providing services available through the digital marketing world and supporting businesses with good intentions to grow globally. Sounds fantastic, doesn't it? And we see we have some people joining in. So hi Jenny, awesome. You joined in live. It's always cool to see everyone coming in live to these and having you asking questions, hopefully. So always pass them on once I have Michelle on here, and I will ask Michelle to answer those. So let's bring her on. Let me fix this up. Let's see if that all works. Add Michelle, bring on camera. So I just introduced a little bit about the background that you have with your family history there, with that big newspaper that been doing. I know for watchers or people who are listening in, they probably will know it. I unfortunately come from Germany. I don't know it, but it sounds all fancy and everything. But what is it? Yeah. Michelle, what I was wondering, like, this is like big media and stuff, but what's your driver for like health and wellness?
Yeah, so, well, I've got an extensive background in business, and I actually, just growing up in an entrepreneurial family, that kind of just it's in my blood. And I started my first business when I was 21, and that was in the fashion industry, and I grew that to a really successful business. And I did that for 10 years, and then I got to a stage of my life where I was not enjoying what I was doing, and I was waking up each day thinking, oh gosh, I don't want to go to work. And so the alarm bells were ringing. Previous to when that had happened, I actually lost my mother to cancer 3 years before this. So I started my journey of my own wellness from that stage, because she totally changed her diet. This was like a long time ago. She's been passed for 11 years now. So, she transformed her life and her diet and lasted a long time living with cancer, because she eliminated sugar from her diet. She went to a predominantly vegan diet, which was unheard of back then. This is, 15, 20 years ago. And, she brought in meditation. And so she was discovering all of these things. And I was at the time fully immersed in the fashion industry, canapes and champagne and cocktails and going out 4 nights a week and, material world. And so, I learned a lot through that process. And then when I left the fashion industry, I made the decision to move out of that and to just change my life and go into a new direction. And so that was when I started focusing more on my own wellness and my own lifestyle, and meditating more, getting into yoga, having a predominantly organic and vegetarian diet. And that was sort of where my journey to wellness sort of started. And then I got into running retreats and public speaking around all of that, and one thing kind of morphed into the other.
Yeah, wow, amazing. Such a isn't it interesting how we all have our own journey? And you know what I always think, around health and wellness, and what I always think is that it's something that's just kind of inevitable. I feel like that's actually the biggest power of it. There's no way you can neglect what the science says, and at the end, like it will increase performance and will make you feel happier and so on, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but today we're not talking about health and wellness. Everyone who's normally watching this knows quite well about that. We want to talk about how can we make a bigger impact with the incredible knowledge we have around health and wellness. And because of what you do and all the media experience, I'm sure we have lots to talk about. But we want to focus on one thing. We talked about that, right? And yes, we have our 3 biggest takeaways, stuff like that. But I really want you to think about that one thing that you say that has worked and like we could like implement in the next week or 30 days or however long it takes, and really give us some insight on what can we actually do, because we need to get moving to make that impact, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we want some solid, substantial, clear, actionable takeaways, right?
That's what we want.
I got it. Okay, cool.
So
let's do this.
First of all, what's the one thing?
Well, so before I disclose the one thing, which
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I want to give a little bit of a context behind why it is so important to do this one marketing strategy that I'm going to share with you guys. So as you shared before, I've grown up in an environment where we're fully immersed in the media industry. The New Zealand Herald is the largest newspaper that circulated in New Zealand and still is, but more, to a digital side now, and has also been sold to the APN company. So my family founded that Herald, the New Zealand Herald, and so this particular strategy that we're going to be talking about today has actually been done from years and years and years ago, decades ago. So it's not something new, but it's something that is totally underutilized, and especially in the digital world right now. So this is something that's like the single biggest marketing strategy that has totally transformed people's businesses. And it's really something that anyone can do if you've got like the passion and the know-how, and you actually want to put some time and effort into educating your market and really taking them on a journey, and you're really passionate about transforming their lives and not just making money, right? I believe in both sides. I believe in a massively profitable business. You really need that to sustain yourself and to be able to go out there and do more of what you do. But you also have to have that underlying want and need and drive to want to support your customers more than earning money off them. So if they get a big benefit out of what you do, then obviously you're going to keep earning money and your business is going to grow. So this strategy has really generated billions and billions of dollars worth of sales. But the reason why I'm so passionate about this particular strategy is because what I want is I want to serve the world. I want to help people, and I want to transform the world in a positive light. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this. So what we're really talking about is a way that you can dominate your industry. You can be seen as the expert in your industry, and you can show people that you're really good at what you're doing by actually just showing them what you do and by teaching them and educating. So the strategy that I'm talking about is actually called value-based marketing. And for those of you who aren't familiar with those sorts of terms, value-based marketing is where you offer a lot of free information or free gifts, in terms of like videos or content like this, or swipe files, or free ebooks and things like that, and you create a funnel system to direct the people that come in to engage in your free content, and you create a funnel system so that you can then give them more. So that, in a nutshell, is basically what I wanted to share with you guys today.
You already got me at funnel system.
Go with the funnel systems. I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's definitely something that I help my clients with as well, is building a funnel system that actually converts visitors into clients, into paying clients, because there are, you know, anyone can sign up for ClickFunnels, but it's a very different, very different experience actually using it well and giving the customer a really good experience through the journey of the funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always talk about, you know, you have to do some groundwork first. You know, I've seen so many people spending thousands of dollars on, you know, doing a website, doing social media, or trying to share some free stuff, and then gaining zero to no return because the right strategy is not behind it, and they're not using it right. So certainly, there are differences. So let's dive in. Where are we going from here, Michelle?
Okay, so basically, the idea of doing this is really just to get your customers to know, love, and trust you. So then when you do make an offer, then you can actually have something that is of value to people that you know is your target market. So today, I just want to share with you guys the very best way to actually create one of those. See, I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I know that there's a specific way to actually create these, and a way that you can give a lot of value to people and also then get something, you know, back in return.
So one of those like free kind of assets or free kind of pieces of content, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So how to kind of create, how to craft something like that. You know, it's a very different experience for people. If you go out and do this and you give before you ask, then that is when you're going to dominate your industry. And, you know, there are people giving a lot of content out there online. I mean, we're drowning in content, but it's got to be really valuable. So when you give someone something of high value, then that's when it's going to convert eventually into sales. And you know, I know for a lot of probably your market, they're service-based businesses, right? So those are actually the best types of business for this type of marketing, because you can show people actually what it is that you do, or you can give them tips and tools on your practice, or you know, how you support them in the wellness industry. And then you can follow on to, you know, your low cost product, or, you know, offering them some kind of product through either a tripwire page in your email, in your funnel system, or in your email sequence. And more recently, we've been doing a lot more in terms of messenger marketing, but you've got to be really careful with messenger marketing, because if you get any, I think it's more than 3 complaints, Facebook will just kind of shut your page down.
Right. Yeah. Thought of that.
So yeah. So basically, when people are trying to sell to someone, and most companies, if you see an ad, you're really seeing companies trying to, you know, have the lowest price, or it's just like buy, you know, buy my stuff, I've got the best service and the lowest price, or whatever. And when you see those types of ads, those ads are only actually targeting about 3% of the market, because there's only 3% of people that are actually ready and looking to buy right now. So when we use this value-based marketing, we're actually appealing to a much broader range of the market. So 17% of people are in the information gathering stage, and 20% of people, they know that they've got a problem. So that's what sales is. It's like solving someone's problem. They know they've got a problem, but they haven't started gathering that information. So if they see your free information, your value-based marketing that you're putting out there into social media, or, you know, wherever you're sharing it, you're capturing that 20% of the market which don't know that they, who aren't at the information gathering stage, and you're also capturing the 17% of people who are actively looking for a service like yours, but they just need a bit more information. They need to find an expert in the industry. So, you know, we've got some real differences between the conversion rates of just a sales page or a quote page, as opposed to a page where you're offering someone a lot of value on it. So you're more likely to convert, like probably about 3 times as much, you know, but you've got to have the right content. You've got to have the right headlines and that's some of the stuff that I wanted to cover today.
I love that. So can I interrupt you there, Michelle? Because I think just in terms of also time and like, diving a little bit further into like, kind of the one thing kind of principle, and, you're talking about like really giving someone value. So I would love for the audience to, we understand value-based marketing now. We see how it actually grabs a much larger audience, as you just said, 3% instead of, the leftover 97% really, right? Which you can attract with a value-based marketing because you don't ask them to buy since they're not ready. So when it comes to grafting that piece of content, I think that's often a bit of a hurdle, is when I now go into that piece of content. Maybe one question is like, what is a good piece of content? Is it an ebook? Is it a video series? Is it a PDF? What would you suggest how to make that choice?
Well, I always think that you need to go with your gut instinct and what makes you feel good. If you feel like you're terrible on video and you're better at audios because it makes you less nervous, or you just, it's just not your thing, then go with that. If you feel like you're an amazing writer, like I'm a really good writer. So you probably noticed on my Facebook page, I have a lot of, long form copy, a lot of...
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad, yeah.
Yeah, so at first you're like, yeah, it's really long. But, I get messages all the time, people saying, your copy is long, but I really enjoy it because you give a lot of value. Or I hit the points of their emotions or something that really resonates with them. So the first thing is choose your modality. If you're good at audio, do podcasts. If you're good at video, do video interviews or whatever. If you're good at written, do an ebook. And then the next thing you have to do is choose a really captivating headline. Okay, so the way that we do that for our clients in Unicorn Empire Media is that we actually go and we look at headlines of magazines, which is a really good place to get, because they're all like, you see those magazines on stands, and it's like the headings kind of stand out to you. And that's where some of the most highest paying copywriters in the world are employed by these magazines, because it's just such a game to kind of get someone to pick up your magazine from a rack. So on these magazine stands, they always have like the number one way to do this, or 3 tips for this. And so numbers are really good to use. So for example, if you're like well, let's use a wellness example. So, the number one way to go from tired and worn out to bursting with energy, or something like that, or 3 tips to, or 7 ways to. So people love these short, concise, like keep it really simple. Your ebook does not have to be like millions of pages long. That's something that I've really found that a lot of people struggle with at the start, is writing too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me add to that, like when you go, and if you can't imagine it right now, guys, we train it the same way to get this, to get these headlines for you, like what we call the freebie. And when you look at this magazine, just try it out. You can just Google magazine, like just Google health magazine or wellness magazine, and go to images, and a whole bunch will pop up. And then you can see like how they do these titles, and you will really quickly be able to think of things that you can use for your business. And they often have little taglines underneath, which really, when you just adapt it for what you want to say, read and make this impact, right? As you said, like get people to pick it up from the magazine stand. They spend millions on that. And I also love what you said around, use the media that you like the most. And I hear that way too seldom. People say, gotta be an ebook, gotta be a video course. No, do what sits right with you and what you enjoy. It's so important, and I absolutely love that. So
that's why they say some people have only got a face for radio.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be on video.
I love that.
Well, I just got my my little thing popped up saying my power's low. Okay. So I could swap over and put my battery back in, but that's going to be annoying to you, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's just. I think what I would love to just another 5 minutes. It may just last for another 5 minutes. Let's hope so. Because I also don't want to make this too long. And if people have questions and how to move on, I'm sure they can contact you afterwards. And you can help and see how that maybe even can work with you. But we, number one, find a media that works with you. Secondly, use how to find a title. We went through that. So now, like, let's maybe talk about like maybe the structure of the content or something like that. What do you think?
Yeah. So the copywriting is the next thing, but I just want to add, actually, there's one more place that you can find really good headings. There's a website called answerthepublic.com. So if you go to answerthepublic.com and you can type in any word, so, type in wellness, and it'll come up with all these different things from the internet that people are asking questions, and it kind of like scrapes Google, and it works out what are the questions that people are asking. So that's a really good place to go.
Awesome. Love that.
So copywriting is the next thing. Like, copywriting is one of the main ways that you're actually going to convert a customer, a visitor, into a customer. If you don't get into the psyche of the customer and you're just blasting information at them, they're just going to get overloaded and overwhelmed. And so, as I was saying, this is what people try and do when they are first starting out doing value-based marketing and they don't really know the structure and the strategies around it, is they try and give too much information. And so pull back a lot and break it down into short, digestible, concise points that people can action straight away. And talk to them in a way where you're speaking more about their concerns and their things that they would actually be wanting to hear than trying to sell them something or trying to show them how much information or knowledge that you have. So it's thinking about what keeps your customer up at night. What is their biggest concerns? What are their fears? What are the things that stop them from living their dreams? And that's the language that you need to talk to people in. And so I always just break my my ebooks down into really short, concise things, or like we're doing today, it's like, what is the one thing that we can focus on, and so if anyone actually wants to see an example of one of my ebooks, you can head to my website, unicornempiremedia.com, and there's an ebook there which actually talks a bit about this value-based marketing.
Perfect.
That would be my one tip about the content.
I love that. I think it's you tap the most important bits here when it comes to these what people call the lead magnet, or we call the friendly freebie, or whatever you want to call it. And it's so important, like especially when it comes to the copywriting, to, as you said, to take it back a notch, right? And not kind of people say like vomit on people with all the great knowledge that you have, right? Really understand where they are at on their journey. Like if we're talking about, bringing it back to what you said at the beginning, trying to grab those like 70 or 80% who are not ready to buy, well, then that means we need to also pick them up with whatever content we are providing where they're at. So they're not ready to buy. So where they're at on their journey, like as you said, what keeps them up awake at night? Like what are the problems that are facing? What are the outcomes that they're looking for? And then find a way to bridge the two with like benefit-rich driven and emotional language. I love how you also talked about emotional language. So maybe can you give us a little bit? So we know how to create it, we know what medium to use, we know a little bit how to write it, but can we dive a little bit more into like when you created like this emotional connection, how to achieve that in our writing or in our speaking and videos?
Yeah, so what I usually do, I used to find it really challenging when I was writing a blog or something that I was sending out to my database or to my community. I was trying to write to everyone. And I found that it was really broad and not quite concise. And so what I started doing is, when I started writing, I would write my best friend's name at the top. And I would write as if I was personally writing this information to her. And it worked a treat. And because, when you've got that connection with someone, whether it's your partner that you're writing to, or your best friend, or a parent, or whoever that you want to serve with the product or service that you have to offer, you will write it from a totally emotional, a much more emotional place than you will if you're like, I need to write to my whole community, and a lot of these people, I don't even know who they are, So it's a really good way to get that emotional buy-in by just writing to one person.
Yeah, and that really got me through a few blockages when I was writing my book. So really thinking about that person and just really also then be bold and courageous to, I found that I had to be bold and courageous to actually put away this is going to be going out to a lot of people, actually to be courageous, like put it aside and actually really think about, okay, imagine that person, really write to that person. And then when I then tried that out and read it to like my partner or tried it out with a couple of people online, you could really see the reaction. And that's the way I feel, how to get people off the fence, right? You actually don't want that general kind of where people like, yeah, that sounds okay kind of thing. You want actually people saying polarized, exactly, like either or, right? Like I hate it or I love it.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
like, there's only one friend, like, you only talk to your friend to a certain way, right? And then, that gets people off the fence.
100%.
Yeah.
You've got to move away. We're moving away from the era of blanket marketing, and we're moving into more personalized marketing because of the internet and because of the social media that we've got. It's really, people won't respond to ads or content that looks like an ad, or looks impersonal. And so that's what we've been really trying to focus on with our copywriting, even in Messenger. When we're using Messenger bots, it's like that actually needs to be short, concise, and in the language to the person that's actually personal. And then we also section those people out into different brackets and in relation to what they've written back to us. So our technology can pick up on certain words. And so if they're saying, business a lot, and they obviously own a business or something, if they're saying wellness a lot, then they're into wellness. So we put them in different brackets based on the type of companies that they have, and so that we can market to them in a more personal way.
So sophisticated, hey, what the technology can do. If you don't struggle with whether or not you should put your headphones in, there's lots of cool stuff you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Hey, it's been so cool, Michelle, and thank you so much. This is really great insight. So again, guys, for what you do from here, really think about what have you already out there. Right. So how can you adapt it? How can you maybe change the language a little bit? And how can you create a more grabbing title? I think these are the biggest things that I got out of here, to actually revisit if you already have something, or if you need to create something now, to actually start moving towards that way of value-based marketing and really thinking about how can I pick up those who are not ready to buy and nurture them and educate them. So I go into a market that is way less competitive, guys, right, Michelle? I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's a whole bunch of people you all of a sudden attract that wasn't possible before.
Exactly. And actually the main thing out of all of this that I'd love people to take away is actually just get off your butt and do it. Because a lot of people, their fear comes up and they're like, oh, I don't have the knowledge or the information, or why are people going to care about what I have to say? But if you can create a captivating headline, really concise content, and you've got the knowledge inside of you that you can fill that kind of content, that value-based marketing with, just get out there and do it, because the world needs the gifts that you have inside of you.
Absolutely. Don't get another certification.
No, just put your stuff out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so true. Like I always say, prolific beats perfect. Right? It's so important, and it is a bit scary, or can be a bit scary, but
definitely. I freak out still, and I've been doing this for years.
That's right. So
but that's the difference. Yeah, it's the difference between someone who's masterful and someone who's mediocre, and someone who's successful and someone who just falls by the wayside, is feeling the fear and doing it anyway, and getting over your own BS, and just doing the things that you know that you need to do, regardless of how you feel about it. Your dreams don't care about how you feel. So it's up to you.
Absolutely. Love that. Good little finish there, Michelle.
Awesome.
For those who like to take the next step or know a little bit more, you said the website would be a good place to start to get that free ebook, or is this? Yeah.
So I've got two places that people can go. I've actually started a group called Digital Marketing Hacks, and you can find that through my Unicorn Empire Media Facebook group. And also the website that I've got up has a strategy session on it, a complimentary strategy session to support you in working out a bit of clarity around where you want to go next. And so if anyone is at the level of wanting to implement a strategy, a funnel system, or take their digital marketing to the next stage, then you can find that strategy session on my website, unicornempiremedia.com. And if you just scroll down, it's about halfway down the page. It's valued at $1,500. And I've only got a few of those that we do every month. I've got a couple of them left. I don't have any bookings this week, but next week, if you want to go through, there's a questionnaire process just so that we can work out where you're at and how best I can help you. And then you can book in a call. You just go through to my calendar. And if anyone's at the level of wanting to do that, then I'd love to support you.
Love it. Yeah, don't recommend doing that. And isn't it cool? Unicorn Empire Media. That's an easy one to remember and put into the browser address bar. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do. So Michelle, thank you so much. Awesome value, great insight. I absolutely loved it. Thanks for your time. And for everyone joining in next week, 1:30, we have more expert talks, and maybe we do a round 2 with Michelle one day. So, but yeah, stay put, and thanks everyone for joining in. Pop your questions into the comments, contact Michelle, go to the website, and I'll see you all soon again. Thanks, Michelle. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Finishing off. Bye bye, Michelle.